Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your girl, Barma Lyons with Intown Collective, and I'm super excited because we have the one and only Atlanta lender here, Max Kallos. Thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, now, y'all, I'm so excited because we're really talking about this market and getting to the nitty-gritty of it. And I know it's been a turbulent time for those out there in the world of housing. So, and by the way, this is a mic, y'all, if you're wondering what's in my hand. First and foremost, as a lender, how has this market been treating you specifically?
It's been a good year. I mean, it's been a busy year. A lot of a lot of big buyer pool changes. So we're seeing a lot of first-time buyers obviously enter the market as rent prices have skyrocketed. And then a lot of I call them life event change buyers. So that's typically like death, divorce, relocation, things of that nature. So those pools have gotten significantly bigger for sure.
Okay, so a variety of people in search of a home, even more so, I feel like, in regards to the different types of pools of people we're picking from right now.
100%.
So I want to know, when it comes to rates, I mean, that has been the huge conversation. I'm just going to come out of the gate and get to what the people want to know.
Yeah.
Let's talk about those rates and the fluctuation of them.
Yeah. So it's a great question, and I could talk forever on this. I'll try to keep it relatively short.
Yeah.
For the last 10 to 15 years, the government was subsidizing rates to keep rates low because of the housing market issues.
Right.
So that was fake money, free money. It was destined to go away. And so right now, rates generally speaking have been trending between 6 and 7% depending on the day. And those are historically great rates. So a great data point that I like to give clients, if you Google, you don't have to take my word for it, the 30-year fixed over the last 60 years, 60, you'll see outside of two outliers, the Jimmy Carter era where rates were in their 15s, 16s, and the housing issue we just talked about where rates were in the 2s and 3s, generally speaking, mortgage rates always hovered between 6 and 11%, with clients paying 1 to 2 points to get those rates. So if you can get a rate in the 6s with no points, that is, I know it's weird to say it, but that is still historically a low rate.
Yeah, okay. And I mean, I think that's a hard pill for a lot of people to swallow, especially after COVID and the rates that we saw amidst that very hard time for a lot of people. We were seeing rates in the 2%, 3%. People were buying houses like it was ridiculous.
Yep. A lot of people bought houses. A lot of people bought second homes. Which also affected the housing market, and that's why we're seeing some of the, the price increases. Not enough supply, lots of demand.
Yes, and I want to really hone in on the verbiage of not enough supply, but we still have that demand there, and it's because people aren't selling their houses because they just purchased a house at 2 or 3%.
That's correct.
Which then makes it difficult for buyers in the market because you don't have a lot to choose from.
Yeah, it's I would say the inventory problem has probably gotten a little better over the last 2 years, so it's definitely easing that pain a little bit, but it's still definitely a seller's market. We're still seeing multiple offers on most homes, but it is a little bit easier for buyers, a little more buyer friendly, so to speak. But to your point, that there's just, I'm not moving. Outside of a life event, right? I'm probably not moving because my rate is too low. It just doesn't make sense, which I get, and that's how a lot of people are. But what some people are doing is if you do have that low rate and you've outgrown it, you're having kids now, you're getting married, whatever the case may be, where you're now outgrowing your home. Right. What I tell people is if you can swing it, turn that into a rental. If you've got a 2.5% 30-year fix, that's basically free money. Turn it into a rental and go buy another house.
And I really love that you highlight that because a lot of people will hear that part of the conversation and say, I mean, y'all are right. 2-3%, I want to stay in my home. But it goes back to the pool of people that you were talking about at the beginning of this conversation. A lot of the people who are moving now are people who need to. And if you don't necessarily need to, why is it still a great time to buy? Why is it still a great time to invest? You actually highlighted that a second ago, and I want you to go a little bit deeper. For those who are watching, who are saying, I mean, that's true, 2-3%, I don't want to get out of that. Why is now still a good time to buy?
Well, rates, as we just covered, are still historically low, so you still have great interest rates. An example of that is, let's say you're upset because the rate now is 6.5. I was telling you earlier, you can walk into, without shopping, you can walk into Truist Bank today And on a 7-month CD, which means you have to park some amount of money with them for 7 months.
CD, what's a CD?
It's basically a short-term investment tool.
Okay.
So they don't want you taking your money out for that period of time. So a 7-month CD means you have to park the money there for 7 months.
Okay.
You cannot get it back. But they'll pay you 5%. So while the rates are higher, I mean, my savings account rate a year ago was 0.02%.
Yeah.
Which in English, what that means is for every $100,000 you invest, they give you $20 a year.
Okay.
The savings account rates today are 5%. So for every $100,000 you invest, you get paid $5,000 per year.
Wow.
So while mortgage rates have gone up, the saving rates have followed. So that's a great way to help invest and build, wealth with your future. The housing market is a great place to do that. So why I'm saying that is if you've got a 2-3%, like we just said, rate on your primary, but you've outgrown it, you got married, you're having kids, or you're downsizing.
Yeah.
You know, hey, we want a ranch now. If you can hold on to that house at 2.5%, 30-year fixed, turn that into a rental.
I love
Keep
that.
it, have somebody else pay your mortgage, build equity, sell it in 10 years for $150,000 more than it's worth today, and make money. I'm originally from Montreal, Canada.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and a lot of people up there in Canada, like it's their house and housing is a big investment tool for them. They look at it in the same way you look at stocks or bonds.
Yeah, I think that's great for people to have so many options. And as a real estate agent, especially in this market, I want people to know their options so that when they come to us, they're prepared and ready to really take on this market hand in hand with us. So I love that you highlight those things, and it's great because it provides you guys opportunities. Now, I really want to highlight what is the average sale price right now, at least like a ballpark range of what it could be.
Ooh, that's hard to say. I don't have that data off the top of my head, but if I had to guess, probably 400 in the floors, somewhere around
4
there.
or 5, because I mean, that's higher than it was in the past, y'all.
Yeah.
And why is that?
Lots of demand and not enough supply. And I don't know that I see that changing anytime soon. People are good at making more people, and there's just not enough space and housing, and so and that's what makes it a great investment long term. It really gives you an opportunity to build equity and build value. I mean, I can tell you in my neighborhood alone, just in the last 10 years, home prices have doubled.
Facts.
And that's probably most of Georgia, I would think, and probably even most of the country.
Let's talk about building equity, because for those who are watching, I'm sure some know, but some may not. What does it actually mean to build equity in a property?
So there's a couple of reasons why buying a house makes way more sense than renting. And one of those, for example, is just, I've had horror stories from customers calling me going, my rent was $1,500 a month. The landlord raised it $500. It's $2,000.
Yeah.
It's now $2,000. So,
Story of people's lives, I'm sure.
Yep, we're seeing that all day, every day, and it's not going to get better from what I can tell. So one of the things you're doing when you're buying a house is you're paying down the principal every month. It's like buying a car. You're paying into it every month. The difference between a car and a house is a car depreciates with time, right? So you buy it for $50,000 in 10 years, it's worth $5,000. A house is an asset. So if you buy it for $400,000 now, in theory and statistically, you can Google this stuff, but in theory, in 10 years, that $400,000 house will be worth about $500,000. So if you sell it, and I'm ballparking numbers here, but to give you an idea, so if you sell it in 10 years, you now have $100,000 that you wouldn't have had renting. Separately from that, you've paid into principal. So if you paid $400,000 for the house, now 10 years later, maybe you only owe $325,000. So on top of the $100,000 appreciation, you're also getting $75,000 back that you've paid down. So you sell the house and you walk away with a check in this example of $175,000.
Right.
Or if you were renting, you walk away and you get absolutely nothing.
I love that. Okay, I love how you're breaking it down in such a practical way as to what can happen and what you can actually be provided when it comes to equity in your home. Now, I want to talk about preparing to get to a lender. Now, let's talk about the process.
Yeah.
For those who are ready to purchase a home and making that next step, you have to get pre-approved. That is the first step to really purchasing and getting ready to buy your first either dream home, investment property, etc. And you would go to Max right here.
Hopefully, yes.
Okay, in order to get that lending process started. So what are some things that you're looking for? How can someone properly prepare? to be ready to come to you?
So what I tell everybody is treat us like a lawyer. Tell us everything, the good, the bad, the ugly. You want to get pre-approved right away. There's no reason to wait, generally speaking. Now, if you're not planning on buying a house for 2 years, yes, wait. If you're not planning on buying a house for a year, wait. But if you're even looking, if you're kicking tires at this point, get pre-approved. There should be, no lender should ever have any cost or obligation to use them. It should be free, and the pre-approval is good for 4+ months. The reason why I really encourage it is if by chance there's an issue, you have time to address it. If you call us Saturday night at 9 p.m., found my dream house, need to get pre-approved, assuming we're not sleeping.
Max never sleeps though.
I try not to. My wife and kids won't let me. We'll get you pre-approved, but if there's an issue, I have a great friend who went and looked for months and months and months. This was probably 10, 15 years ago, did not want to get pre-approved. Don't want my credit pull, don't want my credit pull. Found her dream house after 6 months of looking. Guess what? The manager at the apartment complex stole her identity. When we pulled her credit scores were destroyed. Absolutely destroyed. Yep. Opened a mailbox at the apartment complex. 510 credit cards, had them mailed to that mailbox within the apartment complex. Made minimum monthly payments until they were maxed out, and then just let them all go.
That's insane.
So the point being, if you get pre-approved early, we can address issues now. We can talk to you about credit, about getting the right things in place. To answer your question though, the 3 things that Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, lenders in general nationwide look for are credit, income, and assets.
Okay.
And if you have those 3 pieces in place, you're gonna be fine. If you're missing one of those 3 pieces, then we need to talk about it and figure out how to fix that.
Facts. Okay. I love that. And I love how you provided us with a story, because that's crazy, y'all. And a lot of the times you never know about, she didn't know about this.
She had no clue.
Wow.
Us pulling the credit is what alerted her to the fraud.
Wow. I think it's really important. You could be doing everything that you need to do in order to maintain your financial literacy, but sometimes you really have to do those health checks on all those things. And even by going to a lender early, preparing early, you are maintaining that set course to be successful in purchasing the home that you may be in love with, right? And not have to pass up on that opportunity because you didn't get pre-approved the first time.
Yeah, there's really no reason not to do it. There's not. One of the biggest objections is I don't want my credit hit yet. Well, we want to pull credit. We want to look at it. And you want a hard credit pull, not a soft credit pull. That's a whole nother conversation we can get into if you want. But you want the credit check. It, generally speaking, pulling credit does not hurt your credit. It, generally speaking, does not. Late payments, collections, maxed out credit cards, things like that affect your credit. Pulling your credit, if you've got a 780 credit score, if you've got phenomenal credit, me pulling your credit changes every single day. It might go up or down 2 or 3 points. It's not going to affect your credit. Okay,
and for those who are seeking out a lender and you are going through that anxiety of pulling your credit at that point in time, because a lot of people do have that anxiety, I would also suggest go to Max, if you do want to go to other lenders as well, do it during that time. So, because if they stretch it out, then that's going to be even more impact on your credit. And then you'll be able to assess the situation and find out that Max is the best fit for you. But, I want you guys to make sure you do your due diligence and do that as well, because you cannot do your credit spaced out, your credit spaced out. Just a tip from your realtor.
Get it done.
Get it done.
No reason not to do it.
Main things. So as we go into August, what can we expect, do you believe, from this market? And how should we really prepare as buyers, as sellers? What should we do?
So that's a great question. I think, what'll happen naturally, and we see this pretty much every year, is the market will slow down a little bit because everybody's going back to school. And when I'm talking to clients, I use the joke, it kind of picks back up. The joke being that people go back to the bus stop and remember they don't like their neighbors, so they list their house. But yeah, so it generally we see a 2 or 3 week slowdown as people are getting, buying school supplies, getting lunch boxes, getting ready, filling out all the. My wife's already asking, we need a mortgage statement. We got to prove to the school every year that we live there. So, we're going through that process, and you kind of get back into your school routine, getting the kids on the bus, all that good stuff. And then after about 2 or 3 weeks, like I said, people start going to the bus stop, people start talking to the teachers and realize, maybe we need a different school, or maybe we need a different neighbor. And so we start to see things pick up again.
Okay, what are the documents that you feel like people need to bring to the table when they're trying to seek pre-approval? If there's something that the viewers at home could use to prepare, and like make sure they bring to the table and be ready with?
So yes, I mean, the basics are going to be your pay stubs, your W-2s, your bank statements.
Okay.
Honestly, what I would tell people, just so they don't feel overwhelmed, is just talk to us for 50.
Okay.
It's a 15-minute conversation to get pre-approved.
Okay.
And then we'll send you a list of, hey, these are the things, because everybody's situation is a little different. Some people are
Of course.
self-employed. Some people are hourly versus W-2. Some people can't find their W-2s. You know, they're just not crazy organized, and they toss them or they don't keep them, and we have ways to get around that. So before you stress out going digging for paperwork, recommendation is always talk to the lender first.
Yeah, I love that you bring in self-employed freelancers out there. If someone is watching, and you know, obviously with W-2s, they have those pay stubs, they have the ability to easily provide that information, but sometimes for people who are self-employed, it can be a little bit difficult to figure out, okay, how am I supposed to, how do I prepare for this? Like, especially because of the fluctuation of when they have their jobs, what place they are working at. So how would you educate us on how a self-employed individual should properly prepare to approach a mortgage lender?
So again, conversation is always the best part. I tell everybody, you know, again, tell us the good, the bad, the ugly. If you're self-employed, generally speaking, I'm going to use generalizations here because there are some workarounds where we can shorten these time frames up.
Of course.
But if you're self-employed, 9 times out of 10, we're going to need 2 years of tax returns showing your self-employed income.
Okay.
And we're going to go off, you know, the tax returns for income. And that's a confusing subject for a lot of people. I'll use my dad as an example. I love him to death. Self-employed pretty much his whole adult life.
Yeah.
Makes decent money, but he and his accountant write everything under the sun off. So when
that's a major one, y'all.
Yeah, so when we see his tax returns, the income is significant. And most self-employed people don't even do their own taxes, right? They have a CPA. So they say, oh, I made $250 last year, and then we get the return, it shows about $45,000. You know, it's a big change. So what I tell everybody is, again, we're like attorneys. Tell us the good, the bad, the ugly. Let's
keep it real, y'all.
Get us the tax returns. I can read tax returns. I can tell you in 5 minutes, hey, this is, unless you own multiple corporations that are all mixed in this and that and the other, generally speaking, I can read a return and tell you in 5 minutes this is what your income is.
I see.
So get it to your lender, let them review it so you know what to expect. And the best thing is if you haven't filed your return yet, right? Because extensions aren't due until October 15th, I want to say. Before you file it, if you've got a good lender, have them review your return before you file it, because we can actually guide you into how much income to claim so you qualify for the house you want, but just right there, so you're paying the least amount of taxes.
So good. I love that.
That's hugely important, guys. Hugely important.
So again, it's just building that relationship from early on and figuring out, you know, should I write this off? Should I not? How much? And I think that's important because a lot of people, especially during taxes, nobody wants to pay an exuberant amount.
Yep.
But if you're thinking about purchasing a house, I'm glad you now have this heads up. Do not write too many things off because it messes up what your income could actually look like.
Talk to your lender, preferably me, and we will review it with you. And we do this all the time. We will get on a conference call with the CPA and say, this is how much, you know, the client needs to approve, right? Hey, I'm agreeing to pay this much in taxes, but we will do a conference call with the CPA and go, hey, I need the Schedule C to show this in income on line 31.
So good.
You know, we will literally walk them through what that bottom line needs to be before they hit the send button. Because once you file a return, you can't unfile it.
Exactly. Okay, well, I love that. I think we hit on a lot of topics today, just about the market, where it stands. And one more time, the rate currently is?
Mid-sixes.
Mid-sixes. Okay, so for those who are looking to buy, sell, you know, come to us, Intown Collective, and we can help you. And for buyers, mid-sixes is the interest rate right now. It could change based on when we post this video. But if you want to get an updated idea or concept of what it could be, the best response that Max has given you is to
call Max.
Hello, okay?
And we're always happy to run numbers.
And we are always happy to help you. Thank you so much for tuning in, getting the latest information about the market here in Atlanta, Georgia. And if you are seeking any assistance, feel free to check us out right here on the bottom of the screen or in the box. You'll be able to see our links as to how you can work with either Max or myself, Barbara Lyons, here at Intown Collective. We are so happy and blessed to be able to serve you. All right, have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, guys.